Metaphysical frameworks, both cognitivism and functionalism, although remaining the mainstream and to some extent the dominant metaphysical positions in cognitive science, have been under serious challenge over the last few decades. This unit of the course presents a fairly wide variety of theories from philosophical, psychological, and neurophysiological perspectives, which are contributing to this undermining of cognitivism and functionalism. Functionalism, qualia, but only as epiphenomena to functions. At a minimum, functionalism does accept the existence of inner mental processes, even conscious ones. The more liberal versions of functionalism even accept the qualia which, as folk psychology insists, are often associated with inner mental processes. However, functionalism's concession to qualia turns out to be only a marginal advance on behaviorism's absolute denial of their existence. This is because functionalism, as its name implies, focuses almost exclusively on behavioral functions as the important factors in biological evolution. Natural selection favors those neural mechanisms which most successfully mediate the behaviors required for survival and reproduction. In functionalism, therefore, the evolution of qualia occurs only parasitically via their linkage to behavioral functions, which are the really important phenomena from a Darwinian point of view. Again, functionalism fails to advance much beyond behaviorism, in failing to take any particular interest in the biological details of brain processes. Functionalists do take into account the detailed circuitry of the brain that mediates between input and output as part of the full description of a function, but they're interested in it only as circuitry. Essentially, functionalism simply added a mental black box to the middle of behaviorism's even more basic stimulus-response model. In other words, the tissue out of which brain circuits are made and the means by which the circuits operate are regarded within functionalism as irrelevant. In principle, the functionalist holds one could mimic the circuitry with any materials to hand, and the result, in terms of either conscious or unconscious processing, would be the same. Same functions, same processes. If the relevant brain process attains consciousness, so would the same function no matter what material was used to carry it out. Given this very tight linkage between processes and functions, with qualia as epiphenomena of both, functionalists, therefore, would not expect to find any qualia which are either irrelevant to, or worse still, might interfere with, one or more behavioral functions. As Gray explains, a functionalist account of the ability to discriminate the difference between red and green depends entirely on evidence from outward behavior. Quote, I shall describe function as taking the form input mechanism output. If a full functional account is given, then according to functionalism, there is no further answer to the question, what is the difference between the subjective experiences, the qualia, of red and green? According to functionalism, qualia just are the functions, input mechanism output, by which they are supported. End quote.